Season 5 is the culmination of all the terrible acts we've seen Walt commit over the course of the show, the worst of which being, of course, in Season 4 when he declined to go go-karting with Jesse.
You want to do something? Go-karts?
Go-karts? What?
Yeah, there's a track down by Coliseum. It's pretty fun.
No.
They could have had so much fun together, but Walt just had to be churlish about it. This is an absolutely disgusting moment from Walter, and arguably the moment he becomes Heisenberg. Bravo, Vince. For real though, at the start of the season, Walt has enough money to just step away from the meth business and live out the rest of his days happily with his family, but he won't do it. Because the truth is, the only thing that makes him happy at this point is the meth business. Walt essentially views his work as an extension of his own ego. In some ways, it's nothing more than a dick measuring contest to him. Even when Mike tries to reason with him and metaphorically tells him to
put your dick away, Walter,
he'll have none of it. So he kills Mike and has Mike's 10 men murdered in prison in an attempt to protect his identity. He finally decides to step away from the business after losing Jesse and seeing just how much money he's actually made.
How much is enough? How big does this pile have to be?
But at that point, it was too late. His fate was already sealed. In the second half of Season 5, we see Walt's downfall. One by one, his friends and family turn against him. He tries to have Jesse killed, but that falls through. Then he summons his neo-Nazi pals to protect his stash of money, but that falls through even harder.
Do what you're gonna do.
Once the last of his family turns against him, he truly has nothing left.
What the hell is wrong with you? We're a family!
And during the penultimate episode, we watch as his will to live slowly whittles down to nothing. He almost turns himself in, but upon seeing his former colleagues discredit his work on TV.
We're talking about a person who was there early on, but who had virtually nothing to do with the creation of the company.
So what was Walter White's contribution?
The company name.
The company name. As far as I can recall, his contribution begins and ends right there.
The last spark of determination within him wells up, and he hatches a plot to kill the neo-Nazis who stole his money, get the money he still has to his family, and hey, free Jesse along the way. So, he kills all of his enemies, while killing himself in the process. As the script remarks,
his final expression is one of faint satisfaction.
These last 3 episodes are, without a doubt, the climax of the series. Everything goes out with a bang, quite literally. Walt doesn't redeem himself, but he does go out doing something good. It's a bittersweet and satisfying ending to a masterful show. Meanwhile, the ending of Better Call Saul, while structurally similar in some ways, is entirely different at its core. Both seasons are split into 2 halves, with the first half showcasing our protagonist at the top of their game, and the second half showcasing their fall from grace. The similarities don't end there, however. At the beginning of these final seasons, both Jimmy and Walt are no longer fueled by a desire for money as they once were. Rather, they're fueled by fuel.
You think this is bad? This chicanery?
I don't know how that got in there. I meant to say they do it because they enjoy it, and it gives their life meaning. In the immortal words of Howard Hamlin,
"Screw the money, you did it for fun. You get off on it."
Rest easy, King. And speaking of Howard, Jimmy and Kimmy spend the first 7 episodes of the season trying to ruin his life just because they hate him. Jim and Kim's plot to sabotage Howard succeeds in one of the most uncomfortably hilarious scenes I've ever seen, mind you.
Take a look.
Is that supposed to be me?
And then they have sweet sex, presumably involving a foot job.
Don't be a sussy backup.
But then Howard confronts him and ends up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like when Hank died, it's technically our protagonist's fault what happened, but it wasn't what they wanted, and in both cases, it ruins their life. One important difference from Hank's death in Breaking Bad, however, is that Howard's death occurs halfway through the season, instead of near the end. Episode 8 wraps up the storyline with Lalo, and Episode 9 wraps up everything else.
I have had the time of my life with you. But we are bad for everyone around us. Other people suffer.
Kim breaks up with Jimmy, Mike confesses the truth to Nacho's father, and Gus has gay thoughts. Every episode following this shows us how Jimmy's life has fallen apart. Similarly to the final few episodes of Breaking Bad, both Walt and Jimmy undergo anti-hero character arcs in which their morals degrade over the course of the show, but Better Call Saul makes sure to leave off on a different note from Breaking Bad. The final stretch of episodes of Better Call Saul are not only nothing like the last few episodes of Breaking Bad, but rather are borderline experimental in their structure. Most of the scenes are out of order, like we're watching a Tarantino film. At first, I must admit, I wasn't sure what Vince and Peter were going for here. However, once the final 2 episodes had aired, Waterworks and Saul Gone, I still can't believe they actually called it that, everything seemed to click into place. I must say, it was a risky move to conduct the end of the show like this, especially since you pretty much have to have seen Breaking Bad to fully understand it. I can just imagine viewers who hadn't seen Breaking Bad going like, wait, didn't Saul just get kidnapped and threatened in the desert with an open grave? Why is he hanging out with his kidnappers in an RV now? What is going on? Even so, as someone who has seen Breaking Bad, I can safely say that every scene has its purpose. It's certainly not just a series of random cameos, as much as some may have accused it of being that. Throughout the last several episodes of the show, we switch back and forth between 2 timelines. The Saul timeline, set during the events of Breaking Bad, and the Gene timeline. Gene is the persona Jimmy adopted when he went on the run after the events of Breaking Bad.
From here on out, I'm Mr. Low Profile, just another douchebag with a job and 3 pairs of Dockers. If I'm lucky, a month from now, best case scenario, I'm managing a Cinnabon in Omaha.
And he leads a drab, lonely life in constant paranoia that he'll be caught.
Has anybody been asking about me? Any customers come to the store? Nobody at all?
It's worth mentioning that every season of the show up to this point starts with a flash forward to the Gene timeline, not unlike how we got several flash forwards to Walt's final few days in Breaking Bad. This serves to achieve a gloomy sense of inevitability. No matter how well things seem to be going now, it all leads to this. Even the show's titles slowly turn to black and white throughout the seasons, indicating that Jimmy is getting closer and closer to the end of the road. These Gene scenes are shot in black and white to really hammer home just how empty his life is, whereas the Saul scenes are still in color. Despite this contrast, both of these timelines directly parallel each other. Namely, they both present us with a version of Jimmy hiding from the world in one way or another. The Saul timeline shows us a version of Jimmy who has lost everyone he cares about, mostly Kim, and as such, he has adopted a very bombastic, aloof persona as a cover-up to hide his true self.
Hey, Sweet Cheeks, who do we got next? Let's make some money.
The Gene timeline shows us a version of Jimmy who has lost, well, everything, and lives his life in hiding. Then, both timelines present Jimmy with an opportunity to make a lot of money. Immoral though it may be, both times he seizes the opportunity. In Saul's case, it's the chance to work with Walter White, and in Gene's case, it's theft. After getting a taste of just how much money he can make, he gets greedy and goes back for more. Saul decides he's gonna go against Mike's advice and hunt down Walt to convince him to enter a partnership with him. And Gene starts conducting scams on rich people at a bar, one of whom happens to have cancer. The show makes this parallel even more clear by use of editing. We cut between a scene in which Saul walks towards the high school Walt works at, and a scene in which Gene walks towards the house of the cancer patient he's trying to steal from. In both timelines, Jimmy is about to attempt to exploit a dying man for money, and in both cases, this will bring about his downfall. In case the cancer wasn't enough to make this connection abundantly clear, the show also adds an Easter egg to further strengthen it. The amount of money the cancer patient Gene is trying to steal from has in the bank is $737,000, the exact amount of money Walt set out to earn for his family.
$737,000. That's what I need. That is what I need.
You know that video you just watched? Well, guess what? It was actually a snippet from a larger video that you can watch here, if you have the time. I mean, I guess it's up to you. I would recommend you watch it, but you know, it's your call. I mean, I don't have time to wait on you anyways. I got birds to feed. But please watch it.